Well, it's been a while since I've been told that I should empty my dust collector, so it's probably about time I made a YouTube video. I haven't been able to work on my vise because I'm having 10 prototypes of the next design made, and those are actually shipping right now, so I'll be able to get back to that pretty soon. And the vise is also holding up any more progress on the bench. I want to have the next version before I get any farther on that. And I really don't have as good an excuse for why I didn't use the last few weeks to get some more tools up here on the tool wall beyond I just didn't feel like it, and I kind of see that as something I can pick away at between bigger projects, get some stuff hung up, to take a break from more ambitious stuff. But enough on what I didn't do. What I did do is decide that it was high time I tackle another ambitious piece of actual furniture. Tool inventions and development, that's great, it's fun, I enjoy it. I'm going to do more of that. Building the shop, that's fun too. But I really got into this whole thing to actually do woodworking and build cool furniture. And it's really exciting to be tackling another challenging piece of furniture. So let me tell you about it. Okay, so this is the thing. It is a chest of drawers and cabinet that open in a very different way. You see there's no drawer pulls. I really like this clean, sort of simplistic look with these simple curves. And the way you open these is built into these kind of pillars on the sides. One of them is a pivot point and the other is a handle, so that a drawer comes out like this. And it looks like it's drawers all the way up, but really I have this top section all grouped together so it opens as a cabinet on the top. So lots of challenge here with this one. This is the kind of thing that's very easy to model in SketchUp with all the gaps, perfect, and everything straight and so on. But having these drawers cantilever off of a single post and having all the gaps right and all the alignments perfect, that's really challenging. That is not going to be an easy thing to pull off, and it's a challenge that I'm nervous and excited about, which I think is the right feeling. So maybe this will be a story of how I wasn't able to do this, and that's okay. It'll be a what I learned along the way kind of thing, and maybe I'll pull it off. Either way, I think it'll be exciting and worth the effort. While I'm in the model, this is what my SketchUp models end up looking like, kind of a jumble of different things that I tried. Here's the first sort of try at the dimensions. This curve was a little too extreme and too symmetric top to bottom. So in the final version, you see the curve is a little more subtle, and it's also not symmetric top to bottom. You see it's curving back on the top but doesn't quite close that gap, whereas the bottom, it starts off with the cherry, the darker wood, almost touching. And this contrasting wood, this darker wood, which will probably be Peruvian walnut. I really like Peruvian walnut and cherry. I added that on after I'd done the design just to make it a little easier to see what's a pretty subtle curve. That darker wood makes it easy for your eye to pick up. And it's not just these posts that are curved; it's also both the front curved in and the sides curved in, all that same curve, so that these pieces are symmetric on each side, with the curvature equal on the posts, which will be turned, and the drawer fronts. So lots of challenge with this. Like I said, having this cantilever off a single post, very challenging, which is why that's a seriously beefy 1.5-inch thick steel shaft in there. But even that isn't going to solve all my problems, because with the force, even on that heavy steel bar, if it doesn't bend, it's going to be trying to twist the whole frame of this thing, kind of like so. There's going to be a force like this, and the back's going to want to twist. Because imagine all of those drawers loaded up. That's a lot of weight asymmetrically hanging off of this thing. So I'm going to need to do something to counteract that twist in a way to get everything to line back up. I've got some ideas. I think I can do it, but this isn't the kind of thing I'm 100% sure that I'm going to be able to pull it off. Okay, but enough yakking. Today I'm going to show you how I translate the curve from SketchUp to the real world, and how I put the subtle curve in these 11 boards that are going to make up the front of the cabinet. So from here you can see how those are curving. I'll just draw a straight line up. So there's a straight reference line, at roughly the max of the curve. It's more than a half inch. It's about 5/8 inch in. So quite a lot of material removed from just a straight flat plane. So here's how someone without a CNC does this. So first I had to mention the 11 pieces of cherry that are going to make the front of the cabinet. And maybe you'd notice this in the SketchUp model, but I photographed each of these boards and played around with the grain to pick a pattern that looked like it makes sense. And for something like this, I'd say it's probably worth the effort. I certainly wouldn't do that every time. So to translate the curve from the digital to the physical, I first took the curve offsets every 4 or 5 inches and marked those down to the nearest 64th of an inch, and then translated that onto a board. So I have a series of straight lines, but it's such a subtle curve that once I was finished with this and I cut it on the bandsaw and smoothed it out with a belt sander, it was as smooth as I could possibly get a curve. So those two boards form the sides of a track that I'm going to use a router sled with to put that curve into all 11 boards of the front face and the sides. I'll use this for the sides too. This is the same operation as flattening a bench or any surface with a router sled. It just if you have curved sides, you end up translating that curve onto the workpiece. When this is all together, the drawers won't be right next to each other, so I use these spacers to separate them. And I need to get all these clamps out of the way, so I use screws from the bottom, being careful that they don't go so deep that the router bits can hit them. That'd be bad. Because that was a round bit and I couldn't make the passes right next to each other, I was left with these ridges that I cleaned up with a plane and sander. And there it is! I'm something like 5% finished with this project.